her, bold, brave, her, with Dr. Pam Peak.
Hi, I'm Dr. Pam Peak, and this is episode 542 of the Bold and the Brave, Her podcast. Now, today I'm joined by a true expert in all things exercise physiology. Dr. Jeffrey Stout holds the position of Pegasus Professor and is the founding director of the School of Kinesiology and Rehabilitation Sciences within the College of Health Professions and Sciences at the University of Central Florida. And for 3 decades, he's been teaching, mentoring. He's also co-authored 340 peer-reviewed articles, 10 books, 14 chapters. Do you have a personal life, Jeff? I'm just asking.
My wife would say no.
and then she said, would you just like come home every now and then and let me know you exist, and that type of thing? I mean,
pretty much it.
Just look at that background, and this is why I have you on, because as everyone knows, I'm evidence-based, and I want to talk to experts who are not going to give you like, well, I'm just an influencer on TikTok, and I'm going to like MSU. That means make stuff up.
Okay.
And just kind of like let it rip, or Dr. Google, or Dr. YouTube. No, can we just cut through all this? Now, look, it's going to be a new year. Right? And everyone's like looking at each other going, am I going to do this, starting all over, resolution thing, whatever. And when it comes to physical activity, notice I did not even say the E word, exercise, so that none of you would run off and freak out somewhere, put your head in the freezer and grab the ice cream. So, instead, it's like, what do you do? There's so much information out there, or I could say misinformation. Where do you even begin? Let's just say, Jeff, for grins, that we have a woman who is like in her 40s, maybe between 45 and 49. And she just, is sitting down having a reflective moment. And she's saying, what can I really do that sticks, that I can now build a foundation with as I'm going forward? What do you think, Jeff?
Whew, that's a loaded question, but
of course it is.
I would first ask them if they have any goals. If they're just looking, to keep the fat at a minimum during the holidays, are there things you can do to improve strength, power, bone health, muscle, cardiovascular things? How much time? Are you extremely busy? Because if you're busy, we can talk about exercise snacks. We can talk about things that you can be thinking about when, no matter where you're at, you could take advantage of your environment to improve your fitness. And there's a lot of things we can talk about there that a lot of people don't think about. We call it the non-exercise energy expenditure, meaning that instead of parking close to the mall door or to the or whatever store, you park as far away as you can and you walk. And so there are different things you can think about as far as strategy. Are you the type of person that's going to join a gym? Is it going to be a structured workout, or is this something we're going to do at home where we're doing push-ups off the countertops? So there's a lot of things you can do, and depending on the commitment and your goals, I think that's the most important part.
Look, can we go to that place for a minute?
Yeah.
What I tend to do, Jeff, is I do something I love to call unzipping your head. So I unzip the head, jump inside the brain, and look out at the world in that person's perspective. So this is where those 2 words, meaning and purpose, come in. You and I are both experts in sports and athletics, and really understanding the value of physical activity. right? I'm going to eliminate all the elite athletes out of here because that's not the conversation for them. They're just, fine tuning, and they're machines
Right.
for all intent and purposes. We love you all, but you're machines. Okay. But for the other 99.9% of human women out there, let's go to that place. So I use the words meaning and purpose. What's the meaning and purpose for doing any of this? Why would I want to walk a little further? Why would I want to take the stairs instead of the escalator? What's behind that? And when you talk about goals, you know what I found was a real problem for years? Is that, and tell me if I'm wrong, but people would say, what are your exercise goals? What are your body comp goals? And that's all real special and everything. That's not where I start. It's like, why are we having this conversation in the first place? What is it in your life that is driving you with meaning and purpose, so that you get it? You're not a robot who's going to take the steps instead of the escalator just because the great Jeffrey Stout, as the world-renowned expert in exercise physiology says it. There's something else that's like, yeah, well, okay with Dr. Stout, but I want to be able to, and then fill in the blank, run my first 5K. I've dreamed of this all my life. In order to do that, I'm in terrible shape right now. So I need to kind of like start new steps and whatever like that. Or it's, running after the kids, running after the grandkids, being able to travel well, all those things. So go to that place. In all your research and your work, in what really drives people to get up and move, what have you discovered?
So there's a combination of things. One is there are people who just want to look better. They want to look better and they feel better about themselves because they lost weight. There are some people who I talk to, and I have a little saying that says, train to do life well, not just to look fit. And what I mean by that is every time you exercise, you're putting a little bit into the bank. Like you're saving it for later. So for example, this 40-year-old woman who probably has some kids that eventually she's going to have grandkids. Well, do you want to play with those grandkids? You want to toss them up in the air? Do you want to, be independent at later in life? What you do now matters. And so you can look good still, but also improving the overall functionality of your body actually improves the quality of life. And I feel it every day when I walk upstairs to my office. So it's 3 floors, right? So, and just for FYI, I lost like 50 pounds in the last year and a half. And the most amazing thing happens. I walk upstairs and I'm not out of breath. I mean, just knowing that later in life.
Why did you decide to do it?
I decided because I was too big, and too weight is not a healthy thing. Being overweight, I wasn't necessarily fat, but it was too heavy. So my goal was just to lose weight, and it improved everything as far as cardiovascular fitness goes. And the same thing, with everybody I've ever worked with, including my wife, who just went through menopause. So that was very, very interesting and challenging, and that situation and working with her, but she's doing great and she's at a weight she wants to be. And for her, it's more about becoming the quality of her life, improving by getting stronger. And again, anytime you can do some sort of resistance exercise to really stress those bones, because again, you're putting away sort of for the future. And that's what I always tell everybody, because I find that people who invest in their fitness at a younger age benefit, are more functional, and their quality of life is much better when they're in their 60s and 70s.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Your point is so well taken. I just made a little note. What you do now matters. I love that statement. That one stuck. That's a keeper. And the reason why is so many people are not doing what you just said, and they're not thinking about the future. Now, to a certain degree, it's not their fault in the
Right.
sense that how much do you really know about the future? If I were to tell you, what's your future self? I don't know. And what do you want to be able to do? Well, here's the thing. You may not know a lot about your future self. I mean, because, life is kind of crazy. But I will tell you one thing, and I'm going to speak for all of womankind. I am. I'm going to represent all women. Do forgive me if you're a woman out there, but here I go. I'm going to take the liberty. And that is, we like to just be independent. Get off me already. I don't need any help getting out of a chair. I don't need any help walking over to my car. You know what I mean? We like to care give. We don't like it when people care give us. It means, ew, it doesn't work. Now, clearly, if you just broke your leg or something, that's something different. But I'm just talking about when if I were the 47-year-old envisioning herself in the future, she'd want to see herself as someone who's just kicking ass at the age of 60, 65, 70. But to do that, whatever you do today matters.
Yep.
Because you're building a basis for that. And you're not going to be able to be independent. You'll be frail, which is the worst thing of all, because there's no coming back from frailty. For all intent and purposes, it's a one-way street. It's a terrible place to be, if you can at all avoid it, and the mass majority of people can. So, I love what you said, whatever you do today is laying down that foundation. And that, I think, is one of the most critical things that's not being communicated to people out there. It's all about how I look today and, am I going to look groovy this weekend and whatever. It's like, whoa, wait a minute now. You could have it all. You could look good this weekend and you could also stay independent, whatever. What do you think, Jeff?
No, you're 100% correct. It's interesting because I met my mother-in-law 30 years ago, and she's going to be 81. And
woohoo, rock on.
And she's more energetic than anybody I know. I mean, she is nonstop. But when I first met her, she didn't think about exercise, or I didn't say exercise. I said physical activity. And I told her to do things, like the little ideas. And I said, it pays off over time. I said, don't you want to play with your grandkids? Want to be here? She literally took me serious. And plus she was in a few of our studies, where, and that's where I see it firsthand. The people that did not take care of themselves, did not put that investment in, they're so frail. They can barely get around. And I've seen a lot of people, and I know personally, I do not want that. And I don't want that for anybody that I meet. And the only way you can offset that is to do something now. It doesn't have to be 2 hours a day. It can be 10 minutes. It can be.
Now we're talking.
It can
10 minutes.
It can be 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. There's a lot of new research out that shows that it used to have to be continuous for 10 minutes or more, but that's not true anymore. 5 minutes here, 2 minutes there, where it accumulates over time, but you're doing these little things. And some of those things, like I said, could be, you're sitting in a chair and you decide, hey, just stand up and do 5 chair stands. Stand up, just little things. I mean, there's a lot of little things that you can do if you don't go to a gym or a non-organized sort of workout. There's a lot of things you can do.
What I'm trying to do is make everyone think. Now, let's just have a historical moment here. What do you think a cave woman did? Do you think that she just sort of rocked it for about 45 minutes and sat on her ass for the rest of the day?
No.
What are you, nuts?
No.
I mean, she was up and maybe she was able to forage for some berries, and then she rested for a moment, had her little berries, shared them with, the hubby or whatever the hell he was then. And first male that walked by. And, then she got up again and she was invited to be part of a hunt. And so she was out there running and doing high intensity endurance exercise. And then they were successful with the hunt. And now they all sat on their little behinds and did whatever they did. God, I hope they cooked that stuff. Anyway, the bottom line is it was up, it was down, it was up, it was down. And this is why this 5 minute, 10 minute, 15-minute sprint, whatever, makes all the sense of the world. Now let's flash forward a trillion years. All right, now we're pioneer women.
Yeah.
We've come to the United States and, we're kicking ass. This is a Gunsmoke moment. Okay. So we're out there. My husband watches Gunsmoke all the time. And I walk by and I go, I can't believe how these women lived. I mean, just please, really? And they were doing everything. Well, the heifer got out. Yeah, your ass is going out there to find that damn the fence just came down with a bad storm. Yeah, that's you,
Yeah.
and you're doing it. And there's no complaining. It's like, oh, it's hard. Shut up. Just fix the fence. And next thing you knew, what you had was pushing, pulling, endurance, flexibility, balance, resistance training, all in a damn farm or whatever it was, a ranch or farm or whatever they were doing out there. I mean, come on now. And they did a lot.
Yeah.
And so no one was like counting calories and wondering how many carbs you got that day. It's more like survival. That's how you got through the day. So in a way, Jeffrey, tell me, are we kind of recreating some of that?
Yeah. So I'm glad you said that because I was just thinking in my mind as you were saying all those different things, flexibility, strength. And so exercises were coming in my mind, the things we can do. And the reason that our society and the whole world we're getting fatter or we're getting out of shape is because technology, right? So we're doing less, we're sitting more, we don't have to do as much. But we can go back and do some of those things to stimulate our body to make those positive adaptations. And I was just thinking about improving balance. And so I actually used this one for my mother-in-law. I said, I want you to act like you're putting on your pants because it sounds silly, but if you lose your balance, a high percentage of people who actually fall and break their hip is what trying to put on their pants. So standing on one leg for just 20 seconds and switching, stand on the other leg, close your eyes and do it, and just practice that every morning, improves your balance. These are things that, like you had said, these are important aspects. The flexibility thing, obviously, we can, do different stretches, but the strengthening exercises could be something, like you said, push and pull. It could be like a push against a countertop. Just lay down. You don't have to do a full push-up if you can't. There's ways in which you can still be active, like carrying the groceries. So really try to challenge yourself instead of just carrying one bag each. Try and carry 2 bags and see if you can carry it in. It's almost like a farmer's carry, right? So there you go. That puts stress over your entire body. There's ways you can think about it because one of the biggest issues is time. I can't go to the gym for an hour, and get back and this, because many women are just really busy. And so then we start talking about, let's just do I do the same thing. Actually, I do lift in the gym once a week. That's it. And the other times I do intentional movements. Like when I'm coming up the stairs, I jump a little bit and then, or I never take the elevator. I always, park away. And every once in a while I'll do push-ups. Like I'll do like 10 push-ups, just for fun. But there are a lot of different things you can do. And it's very important for us to do that a little bit every day, actually, because the body, first of all, loves it. As you know, we contract our muscles and it struggles a little bit at a high intensity. We release these great things called myokines that are anti-cancerous and that help your immune system and all these other things. So there's a lot of reasons why to do these little, not exercise, but little physical activity routines. And then that builds up over time. That extra energy, that extra exercise, that extra stimulus over time actually does something. It actually works, but you have to be, very thoughtful and very, consistent with it.
Exactly.
So,
And I think that you gifted your mother-in-law with a meaning and purpose because, she's going to want to play around with the grandchildren 30 years ago. You're going to be starting to crank them out. And she's looking forward to something in her mind that's joyful. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't she want to, participate in that? Now, what I do, I discovered this little, what I call my little micro habits here and there. And what I find is that when I'm about ready to walk my German Shepherd in the morning, Max is staring at me, at the front door, like, can we just move this along, please, Mom? And so, and you never want to be on the wrong side of a German Shepherd. I'm just putting it out there for everyone. So here's the gig, right? What I end up doing is I take my two sneakers and I put them on the ground and I play a game. And the game is, can I get my socks on by balancing on one leg and then doing one leg with the sock? I could do the sock. And then if I'm really at the PhD level, right, I'm going to stay on that leg after I've, put the sock on the opposing leg. And then I'm going to pick up the shoe and I'm going to put the shoe on the entire time I'm on one leg. And can I do it? And the answer is yes. It was hell in the beginning because one leg is stronger than the other.
Yeah.
So my left leg, I could stand on like a flamingo all day, with just, I had no problem with that. The right leg, for reasons, and I'm a right dominant, I don't know why, it's not as, I don't feel like it's an oak.
Right.
I don't understand that. So you know what I said to myself? We're going to train it to be an oak, damn it. And so over the course of time, I've gotten to a point where I can now do them both. The right will still always be a challenge, but I can do it now. And that's huge.
Yes.
Because that was balance and flexibility because, I'm bending over and whatever. And that's kind of cool stuff. And how long did the whole thing take me? I don't know, like a minute,
Right.
2 minutes. And that's a little, snackable moment there in terms of getting out a micro habit like that. And all day long, you find things that you can do to be able to, continuously play that game. And it could be posture. Put my back up against a wall, and then I just take my arms and I go up and down and up and down. Oh, feels like I died and went to heaven. Feels so good.
Yep.
Why? Because I'm usually bent over my computer.
Yes.
and I got to undo it. But your point is so well taken. A little here, a little there. Now, that being said, what do you have to say about maybe developing a little bit of a recipe for success? So I'll give you an example. What I love to do, I have my own home gym. Mm-hmm. And that came of COVID. When they closed my gym down for a year and a half, I'm like, no, we're not doing this again. And so I went to the trouble of doing that. Everyone could do it. You could have a very simple thing in a small room, whatever works. You don't have to have something elegant. But I built a gym. So what I do is I have a nice thick mat, really thick, one of those, professional mats. And on that nice, comfortable mat, I do all kinds of fun things, and they're my go-to. And if I don't do them, I don't feel good. And it's good for my back. It's good for my head. It's good for my whole body. So mine involve doing X number of Bridges, love a bridge. Why is a bridge so good, Jeff?
Stretches everything out in your core.
There you go. And
Yes.
also grabs my glutes like there's no tomorrow,
Yep.
you know. And then if you do a bridge and you take your arms and you put them all the way back every time then you can also get a fabulous back stretch there too, and work that back, at the same time. You can make this as elegant and as crazy as you want to make it. I love my abs. And all I do, ladies and gentlemen, is the simplest thing you've ever seen. Jeff, what do you think of this? What I do is I'm on my back, for the bridges, right? So I finish the bridges, do my abs, and I put my hands behind my neck, and I only bring it up about 30 degrees, and I hold that sucker. And the rest of my body is straight down on the ground. There's nothing else going on. And I'm really elongating. It's very Pilates like, and I hold it there and I bring that baby down again and then up again and down again so that I'm getting a really, really good stretch. How simple is that?
Simple.
You could do it anywhere.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So isn't that foundational for your core?
Absolutely. And I'm thinking that a lot of people probably have a home gym from COVID. I know we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And having a mat, you can do just about everything. A pair of light dumbbells, even some bands. There are certain things you can do that are push, pull, your flexibility, even some of the stretches. I'm trying to think. When you hold it in plank, when you're in a plank.
Oh, yeah.
That's a core. That's hard for me. I hate that. But if you can work up to that, that's great. There's a lot of things you can do. And again, it doesn't take a lot of time to do it. But I do think that's, it's sort of like your retirement. You kind of want to invest a little bit every day.
There you go. It's the health and wealth thing.
Yeah.
I do straight leg raises after that. And I do a boatload of them. And I love it because it's pulling on my hip joint, right? And that's really good for my bone. And I'm merciless, with those leg raises. So I've got the nice and straight, and I'm doing a number of sets of those. They really feel good. But something? I'm working it. I'm sweating. It feels good.
Yes.
Because, come on, people. Don't be running away from doing hard things.
Right.
Doing hard things have an incredibly important payback. So you're investing. You're doing hard things, and then I love doing dead bug. Okay. So dead bug is you're lying on your back. It's like a little dead bug out in the street. He's always on his back and he's got his legs up. Well, you're on your back and you got your legs bent, right, at the knee. And then you've got your hands up in the air. And then you simply, bring down exactly an arm and then the opposing leg. And when you do that, you never touch the ground.
Right.
The lower you're able to hold that leg down, the more you have tension on your lower abdominal muscles. And by doing so, oh boy, you're getting a hell of a core workout. And at the same time, I'm taking my arms, I'm getting a nice stretch back here. I mean, I love my little dead bug. And then there's bird dog. And bird dog is wonderful. Same thing, but now you flip around, you're on all fours.
Yep.
And now what you're going to do is extend one hand out, one arm out, and then the opposing leg comes straight out. So, and think about what you're doing there. Core again. Hello, core. And it's all good.
Those are all excellent exercises for low back. So a lot of people think that, they need to strengthen their back for low back pain, but actually it's your abs, it's your stomach, because you're rotating, right? So your hip. So when your abs are weak, it rotates a little forward, puts a lot of stress on your back. And a lot of low back pain is because of very poor core strength. So the exercises you're talking about are exactly the prescription for low back pain.
I love it. And when we come back, we're going to be asking Dr. Stout to think about simple exercises that really hit it that every one of us can do throughout the day, here, there, and everywhere. The Her podcast is sponsored by Solaray Vitamins, Minerals, and Herbs, all rooted in nature. In addition to women's multivitamins, Solaray, Solaray, is presenting the new Her Life Stages products, providing support for the menstrual years, including PMS, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, and even libido. This integrative holistic approach has a woman's back throughout her entire life journey. To learn more about Her Life Stages, you've got options. You can run on over to your local health food store or check it out at Whole Foods, Sprouts, Amazon, or scroll over to solaray.com and use promo code HER20 for 20% off your purchase. Women, Solaray's got your back. And we're back. All right. Now, if, I get asked this question by men and women. I'm time starved. I only have so much I can give. I'm doing this and that, and my day is crazed and whatever. If I had 5 minutes, what would I do? If I had 10 minutes, what would I do? If I had 15 minutes, but I'm not going to give you any more than 15 minutes. I want you to help me build a strong foundation so that my future self can stay independent and back and forth. Now, I will give you one thing. I will hit the gym twice a week. I will do that for you. Okay. But what do I do the rest of the time? I got to be stoking the fire. So let's start with something. We talked about balance already. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that there are certain things you need to do for overall body sort of health, right? So
let's do it.
The one is the one that has the greatest effect on longevity and quality of life is strength. So there are certain things you need to do for strength. So you're going to go to the gym twice a week. That's great. So when you go to the gym, and you can do a whole body type of workout. So you're going to focus on lower body and upper body exercises and always go with what's comfortable for you. Because a lot of people don't want to get under a bar and do squats. So maybe it's a leg press, maybe it's leg extension, but whatever it is, you want to do 2 to 3 sets of that lower body exercise. And then the same with upper body, if you have access to a gym. And then like one of your workouts is going to be, and not all of your exercises are going to do this, but all your exercises again are 2 to 3, sets, and you're trying to get like 10 reps, but you want to make sure you got enough weight on there that you're not doing 12 reps. So it has to be, it's kind of a hard set, but it's all relative to where you're at. But then on the second workout, you do the same exercise with lighter weight. And the reason for that is that during the, like you mentioned earlier, concentric contraction, but the pushing part, like if you're pushing like a bench press, I want you to go as fast as you can, or leg extension, fast as you can. That's called power training. A lot of people think power training is lifting a weight over your head or something, but power training is just moving fast and then bringing the weight down slow. That does something else. That stimulates your nervous system. As we age, we lose some of those fast twitch fibers, and this is a way to maintain that. And the reason we want to train that way is because you may need to react fast. Like you slip on something and be able to catch yourself from falling. That's not from strength. That's from power. That's from speed. So there's got to be a little bit of combination. So you literally could do the same exercise. One exercise, you're doing a little bit heavier weight and the contraction's slow. But then there's the other time you're doing it, the weight is light, but you're moving fast and then coming down. Does that make sense? So,
it makes all the sense in the world.
So we want to incorporate both strength and that. And then for the other parts of your body, cardiovascular, obviously, if you can do some sort of cardiovascular work, again, this is more than 10 minutes. I'm assuming they're going to gym. So now for the For the cardiovascular part of it, this is where we can do like little 5 or 10 minute sort of chunks. And they can be, again, thinking about, you want to accumulate a certain number of minutes per week, but it doesn't mean you have to do it all in one day. You can do 10 minutes in the morning. Then, what I do is after I eat, and the best time actually to do some sort of a light aerobic work is after eating, because what we find is that when you go and just walk around the block, that's all I'm saying, just walk around the block, your blood glucose goes lower. And by controlling your blood glucose after a big meal, there's several benefits with that. And so you also get your cardiovascular sort of fitness in there. Again, thinking about how I can get more of that time for exercise or for physical activity. And it's just a matter of, I'm going to walk around our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is exactly 1 mile. So we go out, we walk, it's 10 minutes. Good. And then maybe again, we do it later in the evening, or we do it some other time, or maybe you're doing something else. You're going shopping, or what my wife does is she goes to Epcot and she walks around, and she walks like she gets 15,000 steps in.
Well, that's Disneyland.
Yeah.
That's like crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
you could enter there and come out about 3 months later, and people like, whoa, where were you? I was walking, it's that big.
And I was just trying to find, ways, because she never exercised when we first got married. And people thought that was weird. I was marrying somebody who wasn't an exerciser. She's a farm DJ.
Yeah, but she will be soon.
Oh, she is now. I mean, she's more of it than I am. But she tries to get creative about how she can make herself motivated. And so she has to go and put herself, in areas where walking's not a big deal, or, we have a treadmill at home. So she'll watch her favorite episode of whatever show she's watching. And, but there's things you need to do because, exercise, some people just love it and they can't miss it. And there's some people that just takes everything to get them to do anything, right? To get themselves motivated. Because that's why I said, some people need goals to achieve certain things. And I'm one of those kind of people. I'm driven by goals that I set for myself. And some people, though, they're just like, I have no goals. I just want to be better. And then you say, well, the goal is to really be functional later in life. And again, you're investing in yourself. You got this retirement. You want to retire at 62 or 70 or whatever it may be, but you're not going to get the chance to spend it if you can't move.
One of my colleagues was kind of on the fence and was kind of like, I've never been athletic. Well, we're not asking you to join the damn Olympics. What we're asking you to do is think about the future. But, sometimes I got to say, it's hard to think about the future. So this individual ended up going to an assisted care facility to visit a family member, an older aunt, whatever, and was horrified because this aunt used to be, up and rocking and whatever, but then, kind of let it go, didn't really keep up with it, and now is frail and is bedbound, and it's just a sad situation. I'm telling you that this individual literally pulled a 180 and was at the gym the next day. It was like, okay, I now see what the future can end up looking like. God bless, the aunt. And, it would be so nice to reverse all of that. But you and I both know how difficult that is, if not impossible, by the time someone reaches certain ages. So there you go back to the meaning and purpose thing. Now, going back to, these little 5-minute things or, whatever, I got some thoughts too. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
All right. Concentric, you're walking upstairs.
Yes.
Eccentric, coming down the stairs.
Yep.
Now, in case anyone wants to dismiss stairs, you just get on over to your damn staircase right now, and you tell me how fast it takes you to get up there unassisted. Don't be, holding on to the, just walk up there and tell me how it feels. What? Were you like breathing a little heavier than you should by the time you reach where you need to go? Or were you dialing 911? What was going on there? Okay. What does that say? That says you do not have what it takes to get up and down those stairs. And that's a wake-up call, big time. And it's usually stair climbing that freaks people out. It's like, damn, like, what's that about? Why am I, like gasping for air? Why do my thighs feel like they're on fire? Why do I feel like I need to kind of like take a breath here at the landing? I can't even keep walking. What's going on with that? It's a different set of muscles and skills to be able to get upstairs than it is to get downstairs. So what I would highly recommend everyone do is real simple. If you have a staircase, look at that last step. All right. Can you step up on it and come back down? Step up on it, come back down. What about the second step? If you don't kill yourself, and step up on it and come back down. Here's what I'd do. Invest like, I don't know, $30 and go get a step. Just one of those, go to Dick's Sporting Goods or I don't know, and just get a step thing and learn how to be able to do this on a routine basis. By the way, there's like a ton of exercises you can do on that step thing. And if you feel a little unstable, make sure there's something around you there where you can grab if you need to. That's not a problem. I'm certainly not asking you to, fall down and hurt yourself. But the stairs are an acid test. What do you think, Jeff?
100%. 100%. I love the idea. If you feel like you're going up steps and why you avoid it. One of the best photos I've ever seen was this escalator going into the gym. I'm like, what are you doing? So, but because
and everyone was on it,
yes,
they weren't on the steps.
Yes.
It's like, what the hell?
And, and because steps are hard, but they really are an indicator of the power that is in your lower body. So if you're struggling to go upstairs, then that's the part we need to really fix. So like you said, you could buy one of those little stair steppers, or another thing you can do is just hold a countertop in your kitchen, and you do like little squats, but you try to do it with one leg first. If you can't, do it with both legs, or assist yourself doing one leg at a time and going up and down, see how many you can do, and then switch into the other side. If you have access to stairs, even if you're at work, if you're out work, like we have an office here, sometimes I'll go down, and every time I come up the set of stairs, I do something different. So like I'll skip a step. So it forces me to stretch and drive the power through my hamstrings and my butt and, to build that power. Or if I want to go a little faster, I hit every single step going up. There's little things you can do. And I can tell you that after doing that for years, it's nothing for me to go up these stairs now. In fact, several years ago, I went with a friend of mine to Camelback Mountain. Have you ever heard that?
No, I've done Camelback.
Oh, well, I couldn't make it. So I walked up and I was gassed.
Oh, that was your body up there.
Yeah.
That I found.
Oh, so some woman was carrying her 3-year-old child and passed me, and she goes, "You okay?" And I'm like seeing stars, right? She comes back down. She goes, "You're still here?" And I'm like, I couldn't do it. So then I was like, okay, I got to stop being lazy and take this very seriously, because I'm almost 60 years old. So it's like, this is becoming important for me, from a health standpoint. And this is true for anybody, especially, women, and women tend to live longer than men anyway. So you definitely want to be functional later in life. And boy, those stairs really are sort of like a test.
Oh, I love the stairs. I think they're just so acid. Now, you mentioned the fact that you're knocking on 60. For everyone out there, I've harped on this forever. So here it comes again, and you'll never hear the end of it. And that is, as you enter your 7th decade, which is your 60s, right? This is when you begin to drop some muscle mass. I don't care if you're a former Olympian. I don't care if you're a power lifter, you will drop some lean body mass. It's literally a part of aging. Now, here's the great news. If you've been doing everything Dr. Stout has been telling you, and building a strong foundation, then you're walking into your 60s. You banked a lot of great muscle. You banked it. So now when it drops just because of aging, it won't be a huge drop. It'll be a drop, right?
Okay.
Now, it'll be enough to affect an elite athlete's performance. We already know this from all of our studies. However, for you and me, who are not, Usain Bolt, doing a sprint, well, for you and me, that change is not going to be hugely awful at all. And we'll still stay strong, independent, keep it rocking. So when you're thinking about your future self, this is why I mention it all the time. I'm like, heads up, you got a decade in life where all of a sudden, that muscle is going to take a hit. I don't care who you are.
Yep.
Nobody is going to escape this. So you better bank something here so that you can stay strong, independent, enjoy life, run up those steps at the Parthenon when you're visiting Greece and having yourself a damn good time. Here's another idea. Now, again, so many of you out there in the Herb podcast land have heard me harp on this. Ready? All right, Jeff, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a kettlebell queen. Okay. So if you want to have an cheap and easy way to be able to keep something around the house where you don't even need a gym.
Yep.
Okay. Just don't break any marble floor or something. I'd highly recommend you have a little padding there.
They have soft ones too.
Yep. There you go. And so, I got the cast iron babes. And the sport belts too. I got everything. And so what I love is, let's just say I've done 3 podcasts in a row, and I stand all the time, for these, because I feel energized and I feel awesome and everything is kind of cool. Okay. Well, just saying, what I'll do is I'll walk into my gym and I'll just grab one of my bells and I can do anything. Okay. I can put it behind me. And I can, have both hands holding onto it. It's a nice heavy one. And I walk around like that. It's like, woo, it just sort of did a little number on my back there. Feels really good. Do a little farmer's carry, grab 2 of them, one in each hand, and walk around like a farmer holding on to all those heavy things that farmers hold on to. And then, you could end up doing deadlifts, swings, do the halo around your head.
Overhead.
You could have your... Oh yeah, do an overhead, do a clean hang and just on and on. So it's never ending. And it's just 1 little kettlebell, 2 little kettlebells. Nobody died. You didn't need a whole gym. I know people who just have kettlebells and maybe some other little stuff like a mat and maybe some bands and, things like that. But man, you could get one heck of a body out of that. Anyone who doesn't believe me, look up kettlebell kings and look at the women's bodies. Talk to me. You got some seriously excellent bodies with beautiful curves, and it just sort of works. So there's another little thing you could do out there. So we've got balance, we have strength, flexibility is stretching, and shake my little finger at everybody out there because you're not stretching enough. So, Dr. Stout, You're the expert. When should you stretch? What's the best thing? Could you do it in the middle of a day when it's just like crazy out there and I didn't want to stretch? Or before or after I work out? What's the best thing for stretching?
I think consistently doing it every day is the most important part. I don't think you would need to stretch. They always used to say you need to stretch before you lift. That's not necessarily true. Your lift should be the stretch. So when you do it right, I think it's sort of like the exercise snacks, right? So throughout the whole day, you feel a little stiff, you stretch. You do a little stretch. I mean, in my office here, I got chairs. I put my leg up and I'm stretching out, especially if I feel tight. But I think maybe a good time to do it would be in first thing in the morning after you have your coffee. You just kind of helps you wake up. It's not something intense, and you have a certain routine where you're trying to hit just about every muscle in your body. And but even throughout the day, if you feel like, oh boy, those kettlebells really got me sore, you can stretch more than once a day. But consistency is the most important part.
Is the key thing. And that's true for all of this.
Yeah.
And the final thing is, I dare everyone to do this. And Jeff, I'm going to send you a video so you can see it for yourself.
Okay.
And that is the sit to stand.
Mm.
Okay. So, we know in exercise medicine and physiology that the sit to stand test is a really cool one because the standards are built upon age, right? And so you're given 30 seconds.
Yep.
How many can you do in 30 seconds?
And that's a workout too.
Oh, hell yeah, it is. So you cross your hands, across your chest so that there's none of that going on, no help seas. And then you just start counting, and you could look up at a clock or you could have an alarm on or whatever and just do it. 1, 2, and you got to stand up fully and your behind has to hit that seat. Don't just be, you got to be in the seat. Up you go. So how many can you actually do? And then if you really want to be cool and show off for the neighbors, right? You do it with a weight in your hand. Ooh. And this is where the kettlebells come in because I love doing this, little goblet squat, action. And so, or grab any kind of weight. Who cares? Grab some dog food. Just get out of if you saw what my dog ate. But seriously, test yourself. See where you are with other people your age. Because, if you Google it, you'll be able to see, in 30 seconds, if you're 50 years old, if you're 40 years old, if you're 70 years old, how many should you be able to pull off? If you're average, if you're above average, or if it's like, well, you have homework to do, sector. Okay. That's how easy it is. 30 seconds. Come on, people.
And we actually did a study where we had people, those common tests that they, the physical fitness battery test, and sit to stands, one of them, the get up, walk a certain distance and back. We did that as training. And how we did progressive overload was we added weight. So we gave them a weight vest. So they would train doing those tests with added weight. Once they were able to achieve a certain level, then we're like, okay, and then you can add like little tiny weights on the weight vest. And we compared that to a structured leg extension, leg press, hack squat. I mean, all these things. And when we did it, and there was no difference in strength, the changes in strength. So these things you can do at home in a chair, up and down, and then, like you said, add a little bit of weight to it. Scientific evidence shows it's just as effective as just lifting weights.
Well, how cool is that, folks? I mean, seriously, did we just make your day? 30 seconds. And then repeat it again, maybe with some weight. And you could, go out and buy those weighted vests. They're everywhere now. And make certain that, if you have an issue like scoliosis, you absolutely do not want to be using the weighted vests. You should talk to someone. And so, that's an issue. All right, folks, we are about ready to close this baby up. Oh my gosh, Jeff, you are absolutely fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Do you have one last thought for this 47-year-old?
What I want to say is, think about this as you're banking this for the future and the present. You want to focus on your cardiovascular, your strength, your power, your flexibility, just like everything we talked about, using all these different ideas to create something that's perfect for you, because everybody's a little different, like little different things. But don't forget to challenge yourself a little bit.
And everyone, go slowly.
Yes.
Patiently. I have a newsflash for you. The body goes slow.
Yes.
The body needs time to adapt. At first it doesn't trust you. It's like, what are you doing? You're used to being in a couch. What are we doing here? Are you messing with me? And then finally, it's that, like you said, Jeff, it's consistency that convinces the body to really start to adapt and adjust physiologically, at the cellular level, and then you psychologically. It all comes together very, very beautifully.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, I'm dubbing you a repeat offender. We want you back again and again because this has been absolutely fabulous. I know I've learned a lot. I still love that one-liner, what it is. Here it is. What you do now matters. I just love it. I don't know. It just sort of stuck in my brain. So there you have it. Now, while I'm thanking you, I also want to thank my sponsor, Solaray Vitamins, Minerals, and Herbs Rooted in Nature, and the new Her Life Stages products, really covering women from menstruation all the way through postmenopause. So scope it out at solaray.com, SOLARAY.com, and you'll learn more. And now take a moment, leave us a review, because we sit around, our whole team, just waiting to hear from you. We love, love, love to hear from you. Okay, now this has been a production of Podcast Health. And remember, your time in this world may be limited, but the things you can do with the time are not. So seize the day, a little carpe diem for everybody. Thanks for listening.